Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Not Dolby. And here's her story. Dear Ollie, my mother is highly skilled at playing the victim of my father, but in reality, she is a narcissistic borderline covert type who would buy me books on boundaries with parents or take me to watch movies about abusive parents like Matilda to throw me off her scent. She was always reading self-help books, trying out new health tonics and supplements, and pretending to care about self-improvement. In actuality, at a young age, I had to manage our household. If we moved, I suggested the location. When I turned 12, she stopped doing anything, and I paid the rent with the money she gave me, went to buy groceries, paid utility bills, and handled most household business. As I got older, I didn't have a driver's license. She would sabotage any attempt of mine to learn. Her driving made look like the adult, and she wasn't keen to give it up. So instead, I would use buses, trains, even when I was too young to be riding public transport alone. When I got older, she'd manipulate me into buying cars with cash, but putting them in her name. I eventually scraped up enough money to go to driver's school and got my driver's license very late in life. The entire time I was learning, she acted like I was the worst driver in the world and I should just put it off. My dad was a drug addict, but also ran his own business. He'd receive checks to buy equipment for the work he needed to complete a job, but would spend it all on cocaine and have to seek out another contract to buy supplies to finish the first job. He was constantly taking over the living space with boxes and stuff for his work, and out of his mind at night after doing the drugs. His work was supposed to be paramount for us all, but we rarely benefited from it. When he would pitch into the household, he would buy us the cheapest clothes, food, supplies, or toys he could. I can remember seeing him count out $3,000 to $5,000 while I clipped coupons for 25 cents off. We were always hungry, food constantly low, and everything turned into a war zone. My mom would make disgusting dishes, wasting the little food we had, like canned tuna, pasta, and mayonnaise mixed with beans. Yuck. Growing up, I believe my dad was my main abuser because he was the one who would beat, degrade, humiliate, and psychologically torture me. After I was put in gifted classes in 3rd grade, he began to keep me up until 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, forcing me to do homework, which he gave me from his college-level textbooks. Of course, I got the answers and was kept up until... Of course, I got the wrong answers and was kept up until I got it right. I learned to look up the answer keys and fake showing my work so I could sleep. He wanted to show me that I wasn't smarter than him. And he would laugh about keeping a jar of my homework tears. What a fuck. So much time was spent on this abusive bullshit that I struggled to get my real homework done. I felt my mental health slipping. I remember being suicidal as a kid because I was just so tired. Even though he was the person carrying out these abusers, a lot of it actually correlated to my mom's volatile moods. He was a drug user and easily manipulated. Whenever I questioned anything about my mom and she got upset, or I started showing signs of my own personality, like wanting to decorate my room or start a new hobby, she would unleash him on me and use him as an enforcer to abuse me. Yeah, that's what my mother would do too. Anytime I tried something, she would torque up fucking meat enormous, and there would come the fucking rage. My dad was her dragon to use on her enemies whenever anyone displeased her. She hated most of her dysfunctional relatives and saw them as beneath her and would pretend that he was keeping her away from them. She got the sympathy of being in an abusive relationship, but in reality, everything happened according to what she wanted. She used me as an emotional dumpster and would complain to me for hours about my dad and lie to get me to create plans to leave him. She'd never kick him out until he got out of control and hit her. I, however, was fair game and was beaten, slapped, and shoved off him. He'd wake us up at night raging about random topics, even when he was in a good mood, would make a game out of hitting us and scaring us. I started to have memory lapses and begin writing a journal. I would write things like when he slammed my head against the bathroom tub and I blacked out. I found these, read them, and he would taunt me with what I wrote in my private diaries. I eventually just threw them away. The few times I tried to tell my mom what was happening, she told him, and it only got worse. As an adult, I realized that she orchestrated all of this to keep me in line. My dad made sure he never left any marks and revolved the abuse around normal activities like cleaning up our rooms, homework, cooking, and eating dinner, etc. In reality, he had no interest in raising us and never helped with anything. Most of the abuse happened while my mom was conveniently not in sight distance, but he also pulled a knife on us and tried to smash me into a tile wall with his full body weight in the bathroom we were all in. Whenever she witnessed anything, she'd go blank and said nothing. There were times when I worried he'd kill me, and both of them would cover it up because they were both working together. You have to realize this, Dolby. This is when two abusers work in tag team. This is when two abusers are a tag team. Me and my sibling did almost all the household chores while my mother just read the Bible and watched Christian television on repeat. She would repeatedly talk about what a good mother she was, how much she worked around the house, and how she was sacrificing for us all. All lies. I began washing our clothes weekly for school when I was 9. As she worsened, she stopped wanting to go to pay bills or buy groceries, and this became part of my chores as well. While I trudged to do her work, she would congratulate herself on the wonderful stay-at-home mom. I was 8 or 9 being sent in a fucking taxi to pay bills because she didn't want to get off her ass and go do it. There was a sexual element to my dad's abuse. As a kid, whenever I would wear a nightgown or be out of bed to get water at night, he'd stare at me creepily if we were alone. He'd corner me in dark hallways of our house if I had to go to the bathroom. Growing up, I hated sharing a room with my brother, but believe it kept me from being physically molested by my dad at night. As a kid, I looked on his computer history one day and found porn that was barely legal. No, it wasn't 18-year-old cheerleader and coach. It was adult women with flat chests who were styled to appear younger. I told my mom and she said nothing. My dad has always leered at me, and for years I found a legal but odd photo of a random shirtless girl child on his phone. When I was a teen and started locking my bedroom door for privacy, he grew angry that he broke the door down. He grabbed my ass while drunk and would get weird whenever I mentioned friends, and make threats even if the idea of me having a boyfriend was ever mentioned. My narc mom always tried to force me to be her friend and would encourage me to share anything with her, but she'd use it against me and would get oddly jealous and competitive. If I bought something nice, if I bought something nice for herself, if she bought something nice for herself, she expect me to buy her an exact copy immediately. Wait, that's worded wrong. If I bought something nice for myself, she'd expect an exact copy immediately. She used this method to keep me broke and dependent on her, demanding I buy her clothing, electronics, kitchen supplies, and vitamin supplements from the internet, while insinuating that if I didn't, that I could move out. Despite demanding I buy her these items, she'd make a show of throwing them in the trash or that she was donating them to Goodwill. A regular roommate with a set amount of rent would have been cheaper. Exactly. Whenever I got my hair done, picked out nice clothes, or gotten my nails done, she acted strange and uncomfortable around me. Growing up, she's trying to insinuate that I'm a lesbian, or talks about lesbians often. I'm straight and she knows this. When I was younger, I told her I wanted to wear girl things instead of how she dressed me as I got older. I hide in bulky clothing and men's shirts out of desperation. Maybe she was trying to hide you from your father. Trying to make you look like a boy. But I don't know what difference that would make, because it seems like your father's into prepubescent children. Well, I guess it's girls. So maybe her trying to make you into a boy. Maybe she was trying, and she wasn't doing it to save you. She was doing it because she saw you as competition for your father. See, I think these beatings had a lot more to do with the sexuality than you think. Your father frustrated, couldn't get what he wanted. Your mother abusing you because she was jealous of the whole fucking thing. And it's a sick cycle that they keep feeding it off each other. She knows what he's into. She knows what he's about. Based on the email address this came from, I'm assuming you're another black female. If I'm wrong on that assumption, I'm wrong on that assumption. But again, the Christianity, this is what sexually abusive narcissists do. They use religion, they use sexuality, and this is something that is prevalent. This is what damages young black girls. This type of abuse from their mothers like this. And listen, narcissism knows no race, no bounds. Okay? But I'm talking about, in this case here, for Not Dolby. Okay? You got another Black Cinderella story. This is another, and this is not uncommon. Okay, we've heard these over and over again on the channel. Over and over and over again. So not only does the black community have the issue with broken homes, they also have an issue where the father stays in the home and then the mother is jealous of her own daughters in relation to the father. So what's more damaging at this point? Really? The whole thing is sick. Later, when I started therapy and caring about my appearance again, she accused me of vanity, that I was sleeping with multiple guys, that I got openly antagonistic with me. For herself, she's always liked to dress up in ornate clothes made of velvet and nice materials, and manipulated me into her personal thrift store shopper. All the while, I only wore cheap jeans, basic t-shirts. We went to a consignment store that catered mostly to older women, but had nothing for me to wear, and she never thought twice about it. My narc dad and narc mom divorced for good 4 to 5 years ago. And we moved without leaving a forwarding address and tried to hide until he found us. He's been stalking us on social media, and he has a Twitter where he begs us to call him using our full legal names. I have spent so much of my life putting out fires that my mom was starting that I had little time to take care of my own concerns. I did finish college, started working online, and going on short trips, but coming back to live with her sunk me into a deep depression. I stayed at home far too long, and it contributed to the illusion that she was a benevolent benefactor, graciously allowing me shelter. In reality, anything in the house, I found and paid for it. If anything happened, I dealt with it. Any financial emergency, I was expected to come up with the cash because she had no savings. All the while, she did absolutely nothing, and tried to convince me that I was the one who needed her. She stopped going or taking us to doctors when I was 12 and believed that God would heal her diseases. I was all ready to leave when she was diagnosed with late-stage cervical cancer. She made her bed, let her die in it. She made her bed, let her. I see where this is going. Oh, now I see the title of your email. Yeah, death doesn't absolve the narcissist. Before I even read any further, death doesn't absolve her years and years of shitty behavior. She has she has cancer. She's gonna die. Everybody dies. Everybody, every living organism on this planet dies. Does not give you absolution for a lifetime of shitty abusive behavior. I suspected something was wrong when she started ordering weird cancer teas and remedies online and getting even more secretive. She's always had an unhealthy obsession with herbs and remedies, but this was odder. She didn't want to get treatment until she literally began to smell from rotting. We had to push her to seek treatment. When I smelled the terrible smell, I realized that our narc grandmother had the same disease and died from it. I guarantee you your mother got cervical cancer from an STD. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I was there with her for 2 years, going to every doctor's appointment, dealing with brachytherapy, hospitalizations. During her treatments, she took me for granted and acted like I was responsible for her pain and suffering. She would lie to me and the doctors and say she had taken her blood pressure pills. She was repeatedly put in the ER for having too high a blood pressure and expected me to lie for her. During all this cancer treatment, she refused to stop using tobacco and become angry and insane with me if I didn't provide it. The worst seemed over until her cancer came back after her port was taken out. With even more cancer treatment, it was discovered that she would need a colostomy bag, which enraged her. She's always been a covert, disgusting narcissist, but she came an overt after the bag. She would deliberately try to force me to look at it, be nasty and not take care of it well, and grew openly bitter overnight. Her room was filthy, and it was her second job, and it was a second job to keep her clean and on track. When my brother left for a job, I thought she was just depressed. I tried to cheer her up, but she was really plotting on me. She kept trying to start controversial conversations about religion with me when she knows I'm agnostic. When I said, "You already know how I feel about that, let's not talk about it," she stared at me in rage and blanked out for more than a few minutes. I started watching YouTube videos about narcissism about a year ago and was making my plans to exit, even though she was still sick. I know that narcs don't get better with age, and she started to blame me for her health problems. It would be just like her to try to convince me to stay, then accuse me of elder abuse or financial mismanagement. Of course she will. She just left the hospital a few weeks ago and still has a few more rounds of chemo to complete. I was asleep and felt something was off when I woke up. After the ostomy, she has been very tired, but also pretending that she can't do anything around the house, not cleaning up after herself and just clutching her bag and staring into space. She's holding a shit bag. Like, this is the level that the narcissist will go to. They're going to figure out a way to abuse you. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. She had gotten up, got in the car, and drove away. I called her up. She acted like she was at a nearby store. When she returned 30 minutes later, my estranged, abusive dad was seated in the car next to her wearing a Free Your Mind t-shirt I just bought her, while she grinned like a maniac. She never told me that she was going to go get him. Didn't give me warning to get my stuff, just acted surprised that I wasn't fine with my abuser showing up overnight. When they both got out of the car, I asked her, did she think I was fucking stupid? Oh, when they both got out of the car, I asked her, did she think I was fucking stupid, and started to pack my shit. She was shocked. Here she was bringing the dragon back to keep me under control, but she had another thing coming. I am not Dolby, and I won't be their fucking house elf. I took everything that I could and just got the fuck out of there and put it in storage. I went to an Airbnb for a week and then found a place to live for my brother and me. I work online, which is why I could even be at the hospital with her so often. And the whole time, my narc mom was insinuating that no one would hire me in real life. She'd brag about getting an apartment of her own when she was 18, but that no landlord would rent to me. She deliberately tried to make me feel trapped when in reality I bought everything in the house. I found the place to rent and was the only one keeping it afloat. I was paying more bills than she was, and we were trying to make sure she wasn't financially stressed during her illness, so we didn't bring up money. My narc mom called me after I left, asking me to pay her cell phone, and I got pissed and showed up. I told her she was just like those bitch wives whose husbands are pedophiles, but pretend not to know. She only asked me, was this about the needing to use the car? I told her my narc dad was a fucking pedo to his face, that I had seen the phone and what was on his computer, and knew that how he treated me was wrong, whether there was touching or not. Even though he was so ill, he was able to leap off the couch and start to yell and scream. Later, when I went back for more stuff, my narc mom tried her manipulative gaslighting bullshit on me by saying, you made your dad so upset the other day. You can't do that. We had to call a crisis hotline. Blah, blah, blah. I said, too bad, and kept packing my shit. Both these people are such lazy pieces of shit, and I'm angry at myself for allowing her illness to keep me there any longer. This is why death doesn't absolve the narcissist. Friends of mine told me to leave as soon as she was diagnosed with late-stage cancer, and I felt like it would make me a bad person for leaving. Setting yourself on fire to keep someone warm who is only going to complain that the fire is not hot enough doesn't make you a good person. Getting out does. There's no reason to stay around even if a narcissist is sick or terminal. They are still a fucking narc who will use even their illness to fuck you over one last time. Not Dolby. You said it all. Not Dolby. You said it all, not Dolby. You said it all. And it's a lesson that I've given time and time and time again. I've given this lecture over and over and over again. Death does not absolve the narcissist, and they are just going to use whatever they can to abuse you until they die. They made their bed. Let them die in it. So, thank you so much for your contribution and your story. I hope this helps. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comments section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or you just want to sponsor the channel with a donation in general, help it keep it going and seeing it grow, because this channel has been Nearly 100% demonetized, not fit for YouTube ads. You guys are not advertiser friendly. So this channel survives 100% on donations from all of you. So you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. And if you're still unclear, wait for the instructional video link to pop up on the screen at the end of this video to walk you through all of that. Please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.